You ever had somebody try to tear you down in front of a crowd? I'm talking about that moment when the whole room gets quiet, heads turn, and all eyes are on you, and not in a good way. It's like they set the stage just to watch you fall. That's not just disrespect. That's a hit on your pride, your confidence, your name. See, that the thing about public humiliation is it ain't about the words they say. It's about the power they're trying to take from you. That they want to strip you in front of everyone, make you feel small, make them feel big. And I've been there. I know what it's like to stand in that heat, feeling your chest get tight, your fist clench, every part of you wanting to snap back and shut it down right there. But I also know what happens if you take that bait. They win twice. And here's the truth, nobody tells you that moment when everybody's watching, that's wow your moment too. That's when you decide if you're gonna play into their game or flip the whole thing on its head and break right there. Or you can turn it into the first scene of your comeback story. But to do that, you gotta understand the game we're playing. You gotta learn how to move smarter, and you gotta make sure that disrespect becomes the very thing that fuels your rise. I'm about to break this all the way down for you. How to hold your ground without losing control, how to flip humiliation into power, and how to make sure the next time somebody tries you like that, they regret it for a long time. So listen close, because I'm not just talking about bouncing back. I'm talking about never letting anybody own your moment again. The first thing you got to understand when someone humiliates you in public is that their whole plan is built on catching you off guard. They want you to react before you think, because in that split second, your emotions are running the show. And when your emotions run the show, you're not in control anymore. They are. They know exactly how to poke you, how to hit that nerve, how to make you want to lash out so they can sit back and say, see, I told you they'd snap. The mistake most people make is thinking they gotta defend themselves in the moment. That, here's the truth. You don't owe anybody in that room a performance. You don't owe them an explanation. You don't owe them your side of the story. You don't owe them a fight. The only thing you owe yourself is control. Control over your face, your words, your energy. You gotta treat that moment like a test. And if you fail, it's because you let them drag you down to their level. Think about it. The person humiliating you isn't stronger than you. That they're desperate. They need an audience to feel powerful, because deep down, they know they ain't got it when they're alone. That's why they do it out loud, in front of everybody. They're not just attacking you. They're auditioning for approval. That they're hoping the crowd laughs, hoping the crowd agrees, hoping you crumble. The more you understand that, the less their words hit. You have to train yourself to slow the whole scene down in your head. It's like when you're in a fight and everything goes into slow motion. You hear the words, you see the faces, but you're not moving until you decide how you're gonna move. That's what real control looks like. You keep your breathing steady, your eyes locked in, and you let them talk. You let them show everybody exactly who they are. Because while they think they're exposing you, all they're doing is exposing themselves. And here's the twist. The more calm you are, the more it messes with them. They expect fireworks. They expect you to swing back. They expect you to get flustered. When you don't give them that, they start scrambling. Their voice changes, their words get weaker. Now the crowd ain't laughing with them. They're watching them spiral. That's when you know you've already won without saying much at all. Now, this don't mean you let disrespect slide. Nah. You just pick your moment. Sometimes the most powerful clapback ain't in the middle of the storm. It's later. When you've had time to think, when you can hit them with something they can't shake off. See, when you react right away, that you're fighting from your feelings. But when you respond later, you're fighting from strategy. And strategy beats emotion every single time. I remember being in situations where someone tried to embarrass me in front of everybody, talking slick, throwing shots, that trying to play with my name. I could have gone off right there, and yeah, I would have felt good for a second. But then what? The crowd goes home, the moment passes, and all I'm left with is the fallout from my reaction. Instead, I kept my cool, made my moves in the background, and when I came back, it was on my terms. And when it's on your terms, they can't win. This is why you gotta know who you are before you ever step into the room. If you don't know who you are, anybody can tell you who you are, and you might start believing them. But when you're solid in yourself, their words can't shake you. It's like throwing rocks at a brick wall. You're still standing, and they're just wasting their energy. Another thing, watch how the crowd reacts. Not everybody watching is your enemy, and not everybody watching is your friend. Some people are just there for the show. They don't care about the truth, they just care about the drama. And those same people will flip on the one who's doing the humiliating the moment it stops being entertaining. That's why you don't cater to the crowd. You're not there to win their approval. You're there to protect your peace. The key is to stay so composed that you make them wonder what you know that they don't. Because that mystery, that's power. You stand tall, you keep your head up, and you let them talk until they run out of gas. Then you walk away, and everybody remembers you didn't break. That's the part they replay in their heads. Not what was said, but how you handled it. When you leave a situation like that, without losing control, you take away the one thing they wanted, your reaction. And when they don't get it, they have to sit with themselves. They start replaying it in their own head, wondering why they couldn't get to you. That's the real victory. It's not about clapping back the loudest. It's about walking away the strongest. The next time somebody tries to humiliate you in front of everybody, remember this. They're only powerful if you give them power. And the only way they get it is if you hand it over. Don't let them pull you into the mud just so they can say you're dirty too. Keep your hands clean, keep your name solid, and keep your power exactly where it belongs with you. That when someone humiliates you in front of everybody, your first instinct might be to prove them wrong right there. That to snap back and show the crowd you ain't the one to play with. But there's a bigger play here. It's not about proving them wrong in the moment. That it's about making sure you can't be shaken in the long run. That's the difference between surviving a moment and owning the whole game. See, people think humiliation is about what's said. It's not. It's about how it makes you feel. The words, the tone, the crowd reaction, that's all designed to get inside your head. They're not just trying to hurt you in public. They're trying to live rent free in your mind when you go home. And if you let them stay there, you've already given them more than they deserve. The way you win is by making sure they never get that satisfaction. That you got to flip the script so that moment becomes their loss, not yours. And to do that, you need to understand something. A public attack is never just about that day. It's about how people see you tomorrow. If you crumble, people remember that. If you stay solid, people remember that too. Which one you give them, that's on you. I've seen it happen. Someone takes a shot at you and the crowd starts reacting. Maybe some laugh, maybe some get quiet. You start feeling that heat in your chest, that rush to defend yourself. But before you open your mouth, you gotta pause and ask yourself, what's my end game here? Do you wanna win this little battle and maybe lose the war? Or do you wanna play it so smart that they never even get another chance to try you again? When you react too fast, you give them the blueprint to your emotions. You show them which buttons to push. And once they know that, they'll keep pressing those buttons every time they want to rise out of you. But if you hold your ground, that if you make it look like their words just bounced off you, they're left wondering, did I even hit the target? That doubt is powerful. It starts to eat at them. Here's the part most people don't realize. Your silence, your calm, your refusal to get rattled, it talks louder than any comeback could. It tells the crowd, I'm not worried. I'm not moved. I'm not here to play their game. And when the crowd sees you're unshaken, their energy shifts. They stop looking at you like a victim and start looking at you like someone who's untouchable. That's the image you want to walk away with. But don't get it twisted. Being calm doesn't mean you let it go completely. You remember it. You file it away like a receipt, because the moment will come when you can address it on your terms. And when you do, it won't be about embarrassing them back. It'll be about showing them and everyone else that you operate from a position of strength, not emotion. That's how you build a reputation. And trust me, that a solid reputation is better protection than any quick comeback. When people know you don't break, that when they know you don't fall for traps, when they see you can't be baited, they stop trying, that you become someone they have to think twice about before coming at you. That's real power. Sometimes the person humiliating you is counting on the crowd to back them up. They think if enough people laugh, it'll make you feel small. But what they don't see is that every person in that room is watching how you carry yourself. They're making mental notes, not about what's being said, but about your reaction. If you keep your head high, if you stay composed, you're planting seeds in their mind. Seeds that say, I can't be rattled, I can't be played with. And here's something else. A lot of times, the loudest one in the room is the weakest one in the room. That they're putting on a show because they need the noise to cover their own insecurities. They're not actually strong. They're scared you might be stronger. That's why they try to take you down in front of people, because they think if they hit you in public, you won't get back up. But when you do get back up, and you do it without begging for sympathy or clapping back just to make noise, you destroy their whole performance. This is where you got to start thinking long term. That moment they tried to humiliate you, it's just one scene in the whole movie. Don't let them make it the whole story. Let it be the scene that shows your discipline, your patience, your control. Let it be the moment people say later, yo, the way they handled that was next level, because that's the stuff that builds respect, not just in that room, but everywhere your name goes. It's also about training yourself to see the game for what it is. Life is full of setups. Some are small, some are big. Humiliation in public is just one of them. If you can learn to master your response there, you can handle it anywhere. In business, in relationships, in the streets, wherever. That skill becomes your armor. You stop being reactive and start being selective. You stop letting people dictate your moves and start choosing exactly when, where, and how you respond. That's how you stay in control. Not by winning every verbal battle in the moment, but by winning the bigger picture every single time. You don't need to scream. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone who's already decided they want to see you fail. You let your actions, your results, and your consistency do the talking for you. And the best part, those results hit way harder than any words ever could. When you get humiliated in front of people, there's another trap that's even more dangerous than reacting too quick. It's letting that moment follow you home. It's what happens when the crowd is gone, the noise is over, and you're sitting there replaying every word in your head. That's when it can do the most damage. Because if you keep feeding that memory, you're letting the moment live longer than it should. You're giving it power it doesn't deserve. You can't keep dragging that scene around with you like baggage. The longer you carry it, that the heavier it gets. And here's the truth: nobody else is thinking about it as much as you are. You might think the whole world is still talking about it, but in reality, they've moved on to the next thing. People's attention spans are short. It's you keeps giving it life when you keep running it back in your head. That's how humiliation becomes a prison. Not because they put you in it, but because you don't stop replaying the moment long enough to walk out. The only way you get your freedom back is by cutting it off at the root. Stop rehearsing the pain. Stop imagining different comebacks you should have said. Stop letting that moment decide how you feel about yourself tomorrow, next week, or next month. See, what you focus on, you feed, and what you feed grows. If you keep feeding that moment, it's going to grow so big that it overshadows all your wins, all your progress, everything else you've done. You start defining yourself by that one incident instead of by your grind, your vision, your achievements. That's how a 2-minute moment can steal years from you, if you let it. You got to learn how to take the energy from that humiliation and recycle it into something useful. Instead of letting it eat at you, let it fuel you. Let it push you to level up so high that the next time they see you, they can't even recognize the version of you they tried to play with. Let it push you to a place where you're not just proving them wrong, you're making their opinion irrelevant. That's the mindset shift most people never make. They want revenge so bad that they waste their time chasing the person instead of chasing their own growth. But here's the thing, the best revenge is becoming so solid, so untouchable, that even if they wanted to humiliate you again, there's nothing they could say that would land. You've outgrown their reach. You've moved to a place they can't even get to. And when you move like that, something powerful happens. The humiliation turns into history. It's still part of your story, but it's no longer the headline. People stop talking about the time you got embarrassed and start talking about the way you came back stronger. That's when you flip the whole narrative in your favor. But that doesn't happen by accident. It happens by making a decision right in the middle of the pain that you're not going to give them the victory twice. They might have gotten you in the moment, but you're not going to hand them your peace, your confidence, your drive. That you take all of that back and you reinvest it into building something bigger than the situation. And listen, I know it's not easy. I'm not saying you're going to wake up the next day and just feel brand new. Nah, the sting is real. The embarrassment is real. But the thing is, every time you start replaying it, you've got a choice. Either you keep watering the seed of humiliation, you plant something new. That's where the discipline comes in. That's where you tell yourself, I'm not going to keep feeding this. I've got better things to grow. You got to remember, life's full of moments that can either define you or refine you. Humiliation is one of them. If you let it define you, you'll start carrying yourself like you're smaller than you are. You'll start doubting yourself, hesitating, shrinking back. But if you let it refine you, it sharpens you. It makes you more aware, more resilient, more prepared for the next time somebody tries to come for you. And here's the thing, there will always be a next time. People are bold when they see you winning. The higher you climb, the more they want to pull you down. You can't stop that. What you can stop is how much of your mind they take up. You can stop letting their attempt at humiliation live rent free in your head. You can evict that memory and replace it with the moves you're making now. The way you carry yourself after the fact speaks louder than what happened in the moment. You can come out looking bitter, still talking about it months later, or you can come out looking unstoppable. Much success on your side that nobody even remembers what they said to you. That's the choice you have every single time. The crowd that watched it happen, they're not going to remember the exact words, They're going to remember the storyline you create after. And if that storyline is all about growth, about leveling up, about not being phased, you've already won in a way they can't undo. That's why you can't hold on to humiliation, because it's blocking the next chapter you're supposed to be writing. Here's the move. Don't fight for the last word, fight for the last laugh. And the last laugh doesn't come from getting even. It comes from getting ahead. It comes from building something so strong they can't touch it. It comes from living in such a way that even if they wanted to see you embarrassed, all they'd see is you winning. There's a certain kind of silence that comes after humiliation. It's that quiet where everybody's moved on, but you're still sitting with it. And in that silence, you start thinking about all the ways you could have reacted, all the ways you could have shut them down right there. But that's the trap, because reacting in the moment is one thing, but living in that reaction, that's how you hand them control over your future. And I don't hand control to anybody. See, the way you really win is not by going back and reliving the moment, but by getting ahead of it, by building yourself into someone they can't touch. Most people, the fight is in the room where it happened. Nah, the real fight is in the days, weeks, and months that come after. That's where you either collapse under it or rise above it so high they can't even see you anymore. The truth is that a lot of people don't actually want to see you stand up straight after you've been knocked down in public. They expect you to stay there, to stay small, to move different because of what happened. They want you to doubt yourself so they can feel right about the way they treated you. But you can't give them that satisfaction. You can't let their version of you become the one you live in. What I do, I flip the script. Instead of letting the humiliation make me smaller, I make it a reason to get bigger. I make it a reason to sharpen my game, to double my grind, to turn every weakness they thought they saw into something they could never predict. I don't even tell them I'm doing it. I just let the results speak for me. Because here's the thing, people remember moments, but they remember comebacks even more. If all they see after the humiliation is you putting in the work, stacking wins, showing up better than before, they stop talking about the embarrassment and start talking about the transformation. And when that happens, that you've already changed the whole narrative without saying a word. But it takes patience, and most people don't want to hear that. They want the quick win, the instant clapback. Patience is what makes your next move undeniable. When you're patient, you're building quietly. You're stacking while they're still talking. And by the time you come back around, you're not even the same person they tried to embarrass. You're smarter. You're untouchable. There's power in letting time work for you. Not time to forget, but time to grow. Because every day you spend focusing on yourself instead of what they did to you is a day you're taking the power back. And when you finally step back into the light, you're not coming to match their energy. You're coming to set a whole new level they can't reach. And don't get it twisted. This isn't about impressing them. It's not about proving them wrong so they finally respect you. It's about building yourself to the point where their respect isn't even a requirement for your success. You don't need their validation when you've got results that speak louder than their opinions ever could. You know what else? When you move like that, you make it clear to everyone watching that you can't be broken by one moment. That's bigger than the humiliation itself, because people are always watching, even when they don't say it. They're watching how you handle yourself under pressure, how you carry yourself after a loss, how you respond when your pride takes a hit. And when they see you keep moving forward, when they see you come back stronger, you gain a different kind of respect, the kind that can't be taken away. And here's the wild part. Sometimes The same people who tried to humiliate you end up being the ones who have to acknowledge your growth, not because you asked them to, but because the results are right in their face. They can't deny it. They might not say it out loud, but they know. And you'll know they know, and that's enough. This is why I don't waste energy on chasing payback. Payback is small. Building yourself is big. Payback is temporary. Elevation is permanent. And if you're playing the long game, you're always going to come out on top because you're not in competition with them. You're in competition with the version of yourself that existed before they tried to break you. You got to understand humiliation is like a storm. It comes fast, it makes a mess, it tries to shake you up. But storms don't last forever. The sun comes back out. The question is, when it does, are you still standing in the wreckage? Did you use that storm to rebuild something better? Because if you rebuild right, the next time a storm comes, you're ready. And nothing they say, nothing they do will ever hit you the same way again. So when someone humiliates you in front of everybody, don't just think about the now. Think about the after. Think about who you're going to be when the dust settles. And make sure that person is unrecognizable to the one they thought they could play with.